Welcome to Dolphin Dive Daily, your go-to spot for everything Miami Dolphins. If you bleed aqua and orange, hit that subscribe button and join the pod. Under the humid Florida sun, the Miami Dolphins and the Chicago Bears met for what was supposed to be a productive joint practice, but instead the day became a headline maker for all the wrong reasons. On Friday, what started as an intense but manageable training session quickly escalated into something far more chaotic. Tempers flared, and multiple fights broke out between players from both sides. But the most surprising altercation didn't even involve an opposing player. It came from within the Dolphins' own roster. Linebackers Jordan Brooks and Tyrell Dodson, both wearing the same uniform, ended up in a physical scuffle. For a team preaching unity and focus heading into a season filled with high expectations, this moment felt like a gut punch. Fans, media, and even some teammates couldn't help but wonder what was going on inside the Dolphins locker room. That would lead to teammates throwing punches at each other during such a crucial preseason session. Following the drama, Sunday brought another twist. The Dolphins and Bears played to a 24 tie, leaving little resolution on the scoreboard, but plenty to talk about off it. After the game, Dolphins head coach Mike McDaniel finally addressed the issue everyone had been buzzing about. Speaking to reporters, he didn't shy away from the fact that the optics were bad. The people that were engaged in it came up to me and explained kind of what happened. McDaniel said, his words were calm, but his message was clear. This wasn't something the Dolphins wanted to be known for. What impressed him, though, was that Brooks and Dodson took it upon themselves to apologize to the team. In McDaniel's eyes, that showed maturity. He stressed that football is an emotional sport and clashes happen, but accountability matters just as much as avoiding mistakes in the first place. It wasn't the type of publicity Miami wanted, but it was a moment they could learn from. McDaniel even went as far as to frame the incident in a more forgiving light, describing it as a brotherly fight rather than a full-blown feud. Sertier, coach, acknowledged that while the moment was far from ideal, it wasn't the type of incident that would fracture a locker room permanently. Still, he admitted it was not to the Dolphins' standard and made sure to reinforce that such situations needed to be handled quickly. They knew it wasn't to our standard and what we're about, he explained, adding that both players owned their actions. For McDaniel, this was a family matter, the kind of dust-up that happens when competitive personalities collide under intense pressure. He believes that the way the two linebackers addressed their teammates afterward, publicly, explaining and apologizing, actually strengthened the team's bond. While outside observers might see cracks forming, McDaniel saw an opportunity for the group to come out more united. But this wasn't the only sign of tension inside the Dolphins training camp. Over the past few weeks, a handful of awkward moments had made their way into the public eye. Star quarterback Tua Tagovailoa made headlines when he publicly called out wide receiver Tyreek Hill for certain on-field decisions. Not long after, Hill himself criticized running back Devon Achane, suggesting he should be benched during third downs. Naturally, Achane didn't take that lightly, leading to some public back and forth that left fans scratching their heads. While none of these incidents erupted into physical altercations like Brooks and Dodson's fight, the verbal shots hinted at something deeper, maybe an internal competition spilling over into public view, or perhaps just a sign of players holding each other to a higher standard. Either way, it wasn't the type of storyline Miami was hoping would dominate headlines during the preseason. From the outside looking in, it's easy to paint the picture of a team unraveling under pressure. Between public criticisms, sideline confrontations, and now teammates physically fighting, the narrative almost writes itself. The Dolphins aren't on the same page, but McDaniel and his players are pushing back against that interpretation. The head coach insists that tough conversations and raw emotions are part of building something stronger. He even suggested that in the long run, these moments could be beneficial. There's something bigger at play than just their names when you're fighting in a twin practice, he noted. His point was that in high-stakes environments, teams need to navigate these flare-ups without letting them derail the mission. Whether that's optimistic coach speak or a genuine reflection of a resilient culture is something that will only be proven once the regular season kicks off. If you've been following the Dolphins for the past couple of seasons, you know this is a team that thrives on intensity. Their style of play, from Tua's quick strike passing to Hill's explosive speed, is built on urgency and aggression. But that same edge can be a double-edged sword, especially in the heat of training camp. Players are fighting for jobs, for snaps, and for respect, not just from their coaches, but from each other. When that competitive fire boils over, you get days like Friday. The challenge for Miami will be channeling that energy into game day dominance instead of practice field drama. McDaniel's job now isn't just about playbooks and schemes, it's about managing personalities, keeping egos in check, and making sure the internal battles don't overshadow the ones they'll face on Sundays against real opponents. Joint practices, in theory, are designed to sharpen a team by pitting them against unfamiliar competition in a controlled environment. Coaches love them because they reveal weaknesses and strengths without the full commitment of a preseason game. But the downside is that tempers can spike quickly. You're not just competing against the other team, you're proving yourself in front of your own teammates. That added pressure can make even the smallest slight feel personal. For Brooks and Dodson, whatever sparked their altercation might have been something that on another day would have been brushed off. Instead, under the watchful eyes of coaches, cameras, and opponents, it exploded. And because it happened in public, it instantly became part of the larger conversation about Miami's readiness for the season ahead. For Dolphins fans, the timing of all this drama isn't ideal. Expectations are sky high for a team that has been steadily building toward contention. They have the talent, the speed, and the playmakers to make a deep playoff run. But chemistry is the glue that holds championship teams together. Every public dispute chips away at the perception of unity. McDaniel is betting that these issues are surface level, not structural, that the same players willing to scrap in August will be ready to scrap for each other in December. But fans have seen enough teams derailed by locker room problems to know that those fractures can grow if not handled swiftly. In Miami's case, the next few weeks of camp will be telling. Are these growing pains, or are they warning signs of a season that could slip away before it even begins? In the grand scheme of things, fights at training camp aren't rare. Football is a collision sport, built on adrenaline and pride. Teammates brawl, words get exchanged, and more often than not, the incident is forgotten within days. What makes the Dolphins situation different is that it's stacking on top of other storylines suggesting there's more going on behind the scenes. Between the public criticisms, the in-practice altercation, and the external pressure of expectations, the Dolphins find themselves at a crossroads. The season hasn't started yet, but their ability to handle internal conflict is already being tested. For McDaniel, this is the moment to reinforce the team's identity, not just as talented athletes, but as a unified group capable of weathering storms. The message is simple. You can fight like brothers in practice, but on game day, you better fight for each other. Ultimately, what happened on that sweltering practice field in Florida could either be a blip on the radar or the start of a troubling pattern. The choice lies entirely in the Dolphins' hands. If they take McDaniel's words to heart, channel the competitive fire in the right direction, and rally together, they could emerge from this stronger than ever. If not, the same emotions that fuel their explosiveness could turn inward, eating away at their chemistry and trust. The NFL season is long, and adversity is inevitable. The great teams aren't the ones that avoid conflict. They're the ones that navigate it with honesty, accountability, and a shared vision. For now, Miami has the talent to compete with anyone. The question is whether they can match that talent with the kind of unity that transforms potential into championships. Friday's fight was a reminder. Success in the NFL is about more than just talent. It's about trust. Still with us? Then show some love. Hit that like button and let us know in the comments. What's your take on the Fins this week? The sports world is buzzing like never before, and Dolphins fans can barely contain themselves. Whispers are swirling from South Beach to Boston, hinting that Tom Brady, the man who retired not once but twice, might be dusting off his cleats yet again. And this time, it's not for the Patriots, not for the Buccaneers, but for the Miami Dolphins. Imagine it, the GOAT himself stepping into Hard Rock Stadium. Not as a visitor, but wearing aqua and orange. Sources close to the situation are staying tight-lipped. But the energy around the Dolphins training facility has shifted. There are reports of special meetings and off-the-record workouts that no one wants to confirm on record. Could Brady be teaming up with Tua Tagovailoa in an unprecedented quarterback pairing? If this happens, it would be one of the wildest, most unexpected moves in NFL history. For Dolphins fans, this is more than rumor. It's hope. The idea of Brady joining forces with Tua sounds almost like a Madden simulation, but insiders are treating it with surprising seriousness. Apparently, there have been sightings of Brady in Miami far more often than his normal off-season trips. We all know he loves the Florida lifestyle, but these visits are different, more secretive, more purposeful. Some claim he's been spotted at private practice fields late in the evening, away from the cameras, working with a mystery quarterback many believe is Tua himself. The thought of Brady's legendary football IQ paired with Tua's precision passing could be terrifying for opposing defenses. A veteran like Brady could give the Dolphins a mental edge and championship-level leadership, while Tua brings youth, mobility, and familiarity with the team's system. Fans are already imagining wildcat formations, double pass plays, and two quarterback packages that will confuse even the best defensive coordinators. Whether it's truth or just NFL off-season gossip, it's the storyline dominating every sports talk show. Of course, this isn't just about football, it's about legacy. Tom Brady has nothing left to prove, but that's exactly why a move like this would be so shocking. If he came back now, it wouldn't be for stats, records, or money. It would be for something more unique. Maybe he wants to show he can win. In any situation, even sharing the spotlight with another starting QB. Some analysts argue this could be the perfect scenario for both parties. Tua learns from the greatest to ever play, and Brady gets to contribute without carrying the full season grind on his shoulders. The Dolphins, loaded with offensive weapons like Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle, are already a nightmare for defenses. Add Brady's mind and Tua's arm, and you have a playbook so unpredictable it might force the league to rethink defensive schemes. It would be uncharted territory. 2 quarterbacks, 2 leaders, 1 mission. Bringing Miami their first Super Bowl in decades. Skeptics, of course, are quick to dismiss the rumors as clickbait. They point out Brady's media commitments, his investment in other sports ventures, and his insistence during interviews that he's done for good. But the NFL has taught us one important lesson. Never believe a retirement until the players, been gone for years. Brady has already surprised us before, and Miami offers something neither New England nor Tampa could. A chance to play in warm weather year-round while mentoring a rising star. It's not lost on fans that Brady once faced heavy speculation about joining the Dolphins back in 2022 before signing with the Bucs again. Maybe those talks never truly died. Maybe this has been quietly brewing in the background. For now, no official statement has been made, but social media is ablaze with theories, jersey mock-ups, and wild predictions. In sports, perception can create momentum, and this rumor has a hurricane's force. There's also the element of revenge and rivalry that can't be ignored. Patriots fans would be torn. Seeing their hero in a rival AFC East uniform would sting, especially one that could potentially dethrone their beloved team. Jets fans would likely panic at the thought of facing both Tua and Brady in the same game plan. And the Bills? Let's just say Buffalo's defense would have a long week of film study ahead of them. From a business perspective, the NFL would salivate over the ratings such a pairing would bring. Every Dolphins game would be must-watch television. Ticket prices would skyrocket, and merchandise sales would explode. Miami has always had the glitz and glamour, but adding Brady to the mix would turn them into the league's hottest ticket. Even those who hate Brady couldn't resist tuning in, if only to watch history unfold or collapse spectacularly. Either way, the league wins, and so do the Dolphins' bank accounts. For Tua, this rumored partnership could be both a blessing and a challenge. On one hand, working alongside Brady would be like attending the most exclusive quarterback masterclass in existence. On the other, the pressure of sharing the spotlight with the GOAT could test his mental toughness. Some analysts worry that Tua might lose confidence or face constant comparisons. But supporters argue the opposite, that Tua could actually thrive, absorbing Brady's habits, preparation techniques, and situational awareness. And let's not forget the Dolphins have been building a team perfectly suited for a deep playoff run. With Brady's playoff pedigree and Tua's existing chemistry with the roster, Miami could instantly transform into a championship favorite. This wouldn't be a simple veteran signs as backup situation. This would be a dual QB system that could redefine the modern NFL offense. The question remains, would both men's egos allow it, or is this just a beautiful fleeting offseason? Dream. The locker room dynamics in such a scenario would be fascinating. You'd have two alpha quarterbacks, one an established leader within the team, the other the most decorated player in NFL history, finding a way to coexist. Coach Mike McDaniel would be at the center of it all, orchestrating an offense that blends old school precision with new school explosiveness. Imagine Brady breaking down defenses pre-snap while Tua executes lightning-quick RPOs, keeping defenses guessing on every down. The psychological warfare alone would be priceless. Teammates would likely embrace the situation, knowing their odds of making the Super Bowl would skyrocket. And if the personalities mesh, it could be one of the most harmonious and effective quarterback rooms in league history. But the potential for tension is real. Two leaders, two voices, one huddle. If they pull it off, though, it would be the ultimate proof that football evolution is about adaptation, collaboration, and occasionally taking risks that defy tradition. Meanwhile, the national media is in overdrive. Sports talk shows dedicate entire segments to hypothetical Brady Tua plays, debating whether this would be an unstoppable force or an overhyped experiment destined to fail. Former players are chiming in, some calling it genius, others warning it's a disaster waiting to happen. Social media detectives are tracking flight patterns, zooming in on blurry photos of a figure that might be Brady at a Dolphins facility. Even Vegas odds makers have quietly adjusted Miami's Super Bowl odds, fueling speculation that something big could be brewing. Brady's camp remains silent, which only makes the rumor more intriguing. In today's NFL, silence often speaks louder than words. Whether it's a masterclass in secrecy or simply an internet-fueled fantasy, the story has taken on a life of its own. And as training camp approaches, the world waits to see if this offseason's biggest rumor will turn into reality. What would it mean for Brady's legacy if he pulled this off? He's already the undisputed GOAT, but a successful run in Miami alongside Tua would cement him as a football visionary. Not just a player, but a strategist willing to break the mold and challenge the game's traditions. It could inspire future teams to consider multi-quarterback systems, just as the Wildcat formation once shook up the league. Critics might call it a stunt, but if the Dolphins hoisted the Lombardi trophy, it would be impossible to argue with the results. And for Miami, it would be the crowning moment of a franchise that's been chasing glory since the days of Danny Marino. The risk is enormous, but so is the potential reward. One thing is certain, if Brady does this, we'll be talking about it for decades. Whether it happens or not, the fact that we're even discussing it says everything about his legend. Until anything is confirmed, this remains the NFL's juiciest off-season storyline. A perfect blend of hope, nostalgia, and pure football fantasy. Dolphins fans are holding their breath, Patriots fans are nervously watching, and the rest of the league is preparing for a possible seismic shift in the AFC landscape. The idea of Brady and Aqua and Orange sharing a huddle with Tua feels like something out of a sports movie, but so did Brady's comeback win in Super Bowl LI. If history has taught us anything, it's that the improbable often becomes reality in the NFL. Whether this rumor fades into the background or explodes into a headline, it has already achieved one thing. It has united Miami in excitement. And in a league built on drama, storylines, and a constant chase for greatness, that's a victory all on its own. Now all that's left to do is wait and dream. That's a wrap for today's dive. If you're loving the content, share it. With a fellow Dolphins fan, hit subscribe and turn on notifications so you never miss a splash. Fins up.